The rain hammered down like a relentless accusation, soaking through my trench coat as I stood at the edge of the freshly dug grave in the heart of Chicago's Oakwood Cemetery. The wind whipped through the skeletal trees, carrying the faint scent of wet earth and decaying flowers, while distant thunder rumbled like a warning I couldn't ignore. My boots sank into the mud, mirroring the way grief pulled at my soul. But beneath it simmered something darker, a quiet rage that had been building for years. The mourners had long dispersed, their black umbrellas folding away like forgotten promises, leaving me alone with the polished oak casket that held nothing. The funeral director's words echoed, closed casket. Miss Tran. Complications from the accident. But now, as lightning cracked the sky, illuminating the headstone etched with Lynn Tran, beloved mother and artist, I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the storm. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A text from an unknown number. I'm not gone. Meet me here. Now. My heart stuttered, fingers numb as I clutched the device. Mom's phone had vanished from the hospital room after her fatal car crash. This had to be a cruel joke. But the pull was irresistible, the kind of desperate hope that overrides logic, born from a lifetime of unspoken wounds. I drove through the downpour, wipers slashing across the windshield like futile attempts to clear my blurred vision. Chicago's streets blurred into a haze of neon reflections, each red light feeling like an eternity. My mind raced back to that fateful evening 3 weeks ago, when I'd found Mom slumped over the wheel in our garage, the engine still running, airbags deployed but too late. The paramedics had pronounced her dead on arrival, citing a sudden brake failure leading to the crash. But now, doubt gnawed at me, the way Dad had insisted on a quick cremation, only relenting to burial after I begged, his absence at the service, claiming an urgent business trip to Miami, the Instagram post I'd stumbled upon, him beaming beside his executive assistant, Vanessa Ruiz, captioned, "Fresh starts under the sun." As I pulled up to the cemetery gates, miraculously ajar despite the late hour, a lone SUV idled near the grave, its headlights cutting through the rain like accusatory beams. A figure emerged, hood up. But as lightning flashed again, I saw her face. Mom. Alive. Her eyes, those same warm brown eyes that had always hidden pain behind a smile, locked onto mine. "Emily," she whispered, pulling me into the vehicle before I could collapse. The door slammed, sealing us in silence broken only by the storm outside. Inside the SUV, the air was thick with the scent of hospital antiseptic and damp clothes. Mom's hand trembled as she gripped mine, her skin cold but undeniably real. "Your father. He rigged the car," she said, her voice a fragile thread, laced with the betrayal that had festered for decades. Thomas Tran, the celebrated real estate mogul who'd built Tran Properties from nothing, had been poisoning our lives in ways I'd never fully seen. It started with the arguments I'd overheard as a child, his booming demands for control over Mom's small art studio, her quiet refusals that always ended in her tears. But this? Attempted murder? He tampered with the brakes, she continued, showing me a hidden folder on her phone, mechanics reports, altered prescriptions for her blood pressure meds that he'd been swapping to induce heart strain, leading to the accident. A nurse, Elena Vasquez, had caught him in the act during one of Mom's routine checkups, swapping pills in her bag. Elena had helped fake the death using a Jane Doe from a similar crash, bribing a coroner who thought he was aiding an abuse victim. The closed casket? A necessity to hide the switch. As Mom spoke, the pieces clicked, Dad's insistence on taking over her 35% stake in the company, the emergency transfers he'd pressured me to sign as her heir. I'd always been the dutiful daughter, working as an architect in his firm, swallowing his criticisms to earn scraps of approval. But now, The silence I'd maintained, the way I'd bitten my tongue during family dinners while he belittled her dreams, felt like complicity in my own destruction. We drove to a dingy motel on the outskirts of the city, where Elena waited, her scrubs traded for civilian clothes, a duffel bag of evidence at her feet. "I couldn't let him get away with it," she said, her voice steady but eyes haunted. She'd risked her license, her freedom, because she'd seen too many women like Mom, silenced by powerful men. Together, they laid out the plan. Mom would stay hidden in a safe house in Milwaukee, while I returned to normal life, gathering proof of his fraud. The FBI was already sniffing around his offshore accounts, but they needed insider access. My role? The invisible daughter. The one he'd always underestimated. Slipping into his office to document the lies. The weight of it crushed me, the psychological toll of pretending grief while knowing the truth. The paranoia of his watchful eyes. That night, back in my loft overlooking Lake Michigan, I stared at the ceiling as waves crashed below, replaying every dismissed hug, every "not now, Emily" from Dad. The betrayal burned. Not just his actions, but my own silence that had enabled them. Sleep evaded me, replaced by a simmering resolve. Revenge wouldn't be swift or heroic, it would be a slow unraveling, paid for with pieces of my soul. The next morning, Dad's call came like clockwork precision. "Emily, we need to handle the estate papers today." My office. 10 a.m. sharp. His tone was all business. No trace of mourning. I arrived at Tran Properties' gleaming tower in downtown Chicago, the glass facade reflecting a stormy sky that matched my inner turmoil. He sat behind his massive oak desk, Vanessa hovering nearby like a predator in heels. "Sign here," he said, sliding over documents with Mom's forged signature already scrawled, perfect loops I'd recognize anywhere as fake. My hand hovered over the pen, heart pounding. "I'd like a lawyer to review," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. His eyes narrowed, a flicker of surprise cracking his composed mask. "Time's money, kid. Your mom would have wanted this quick." The mention of her ignited something, a quiet fury born from years of watching him chip away at her spirit. I pocketed the folder, excusing myself, but not before noting the wall safe behind his family portrait, keypad glowing with digits 0512, Mom's birthday. As I left, Vanessa's whisper followed, "She's unstable." Thomas. Grief does that. In the elevator, my phone buzzed, a text from Elena. "He's tracking your location. Be careful." The paranoia set in. Every shadow a potential spy. Every call a trap. That afternoon, I met Elena and Mom's lawyer, Sophia Chin, in a crowded coffee shop in Wrigleyville, away from prying eyes. Sophia, sharp-eyed and no-nonsense. "Spread out files. We've got fragments, wire transfers to Cayman accounts, emails plotting the accident. But we need the safe's contents for the FBI to indict." Elena showed hospital footage of Dad slipping into Mom's room, tampering with her meds. "He thinks he's untouchable," she said. My mind flashed to childhood memories, Dad's business trips that left Mom crying alone, his control over our finances that kept her dependent. The psychological scars ran deep, my anxiety attacks from his constant disapproval, Mom's quiet depression masked as tiredness. I agreed to infiltrate, but the cost loomed, the erosion of trust in everyone, the isolation of living a double life. That night, under cover of another storm, I snuck into the office using my keycard. The safe yielded to 0512 folders of embezzled funds, a USB drive labeled insurance, and a photo of Mom crossed out in red marker. Copying the files, I heard footsteps, Dad and Vanessa, arguing in the hall, hiding in a janitor's closet. I overheard, "If Emily talks, we're done." My breath caught, the betrayal deepened. Vanessa his accomplice in more than affairs. The harassment escalated. My bank accounts froze for security. Tales followed my car through Chicago's traffic. Whispers at work painted me as unhinged. Dad's voicemails turned menacing, "Come home, or you'll regret it." I changed hotels nightly. Cash only. The exhaustion gnawing at my sanity, nightmares of Mom's crash, guilt over my past silence. But each revelation fueled me. The USB showed plans to frame Mom's death as suicide for insurance payout. Sophia filed injunctions, blocking his guardianship bids, while Elena's affidavit exposed the tampering. Mom called from hiding, her voice frail, "I endured for you, Emily. Now fight for us." The turning point came when Dad confronted me at a family dinner at Aunt Kim's, his allies circling, pressuring me to drop it. "You're breaking us," he said, eyes pleading false remorse. I walked out. Anonymous tips to the board sparking stock plunges. Vanessa cracked first. Texting, "He's dangerous. Meet me." She confessed everything for immunity, his rage. The plots, handing over deleted emails. The arrest unfolded in a Milwaukee warehouse. Rain pounding the roof as FBI agents swarmed. Dad lunged at me, screaming, "You were always weak." But as cuffs clicked, his empire crumbled. Fraud charges. Attempted murder. Mom emerged from hiding, testifying in court. Her frailty a stark price of survival. The trial dragged. Each day peeling back layers of our family's rot, the imprints of his control on our psyches. The silence that had cost us years. Guilty on all counts, 25 years. We rebuilt, Mom's art gallery reborn in Portland. My nonprofit aiding abuse victims funded by seized assets. But the scars lingered, trust issues. Therapy sessions unpacking the trauma. Revenge hadn't healed, it had exposed the voids. As we stood on Oregon's coast, waves calm for once, Mom whispered, "We paid dearly, but we're free." The price of choice, our shattered illusions, echoed in every quiet moment thereafter.